All right, there it is. We welcome back the one and only Coach Glenn Rolbiecki.
How you doing, Mike?
I'm good. I'm really good today, man. It's a Friday, and we're talking Indian Wells 70.3. Couldn't
Correct.
be better. Couldn't be better. I've got the website up here.
Okay.
And I just thought you've done the race, just so everybody knows that you're not a complete expert, but you've been there once.
I've been there once.
So we try to take advantage of that experience.
Okay.
And let's see here. Did that scroll it up? Yeah. We can start with where is it in California? What part
It's Palm Springs, and it's at the Indian Wells Golf and Tennis Resort, which is a pretty famous tennis area, I guess, the tennis resort there. It's really big. It's a big, huge venue. They have all the tennis courts and stadiums there, and that's where you check in, pick up your packet, and it's a dual transition race.
Okay.
And transition 1 is out by the lake. I don't know how to pronounce the lake's name, Chichewawa or something to that effect, Kahula or something like that. And nobody swims in this lake all year round. I mean, this is the only time you get swimming is during Ironman, I believe. Oh, yes. So it's a dual transition, and the other transition will be back at Indian Wells, right where you check in. That's where the bikes are.
Sounds fancy, man.
Yeah, it's pretty uppity. Also, there's an unusual thing at Indian Wells where you have the day before Saturday, you have to bring your wetsuit to Indian Wells to the swim start, and you have to decontaminate it. And they used to do it last year and year before. I'm assuming they'll do it again this year, to decontaminate your swimsuit by submerging it into like a little pools. They have like kiddie pools, and like 10 athletes go around it, and they all submerge their wetsuits underneath it for like 15 seconds. Then you take it out, put it on a hanger, and you hang it at the race venue, T1, on a hanger with your number. And you put a little tag on it saying it's been decontaminated. Then they look for that. Then they look for that in the morning to make sure you're all tagged up. I mean, do they truly make sure you have a tag on? They emphasize that. They do emphasize that. And I believe it's part of an Indian reservation. Again, it seemed like, I could be wrong though. But this is like a reservoir for, I think, drinking water. There is no swimming. There's boating, I believe, in there though. And
that's like the ceremony.
It is. So you got to plan for a little extra time out at T1. I would get T1 done first, get your stuff all done out there, then go back towards the race venue and hook up your bike. That's what I did.
Okay. So, so I'm looking at this swim map. You start there, and then is that like the swim to the start to the finish? That's quite a ways. It must be.
No, it's not. From the starting point to the, it's not that far. It's a small. It's not a big transition. It's just a normal transition area. It's not that big.
Oh, I got you. So, but when you get done with the bike, you got the run bag somewhere.
The bike is, it's down in the parking lot. I believe it's a parking lot or sandy. It's like ground. It's not a big area where it's not, let me roll back. You get to be bussed in. The only way to get into this place is being bussed in, and you have to show up at the Indian Wells Tennis Resort area where the Ironman Village is, pick up your bus, and then come into here. And it's all like single file. There's no room for cars to get into this. It's all because the bikes go out on this. So I think they cut down on all the traffic going into this one location. So 99% of the people come in on the buses.
Oh.
And last year, my friend wanted to take the first bus, and that was way too early. It was like 4:30 in the morning where they're standing waiting for the bus. And the race didn't start till 7. Wow. And once you get out there, there's nothing out there. I mean, there's nothing other than triathletes. So bring a lot of warm clothes, bring some food, and bring something to drink because you're going to be out there for a couple hours if you get off there at 4:30 or 5. I mean, I'm going to go for a 5 o'clock bus, I believe, a little bit later bus. Last time we were there way too early.
Okay.
And bring warm clothes. It's very chilly out there on this. It's like, it was in the 50s. I mean, it was chilly. It'll warm up once the day goes on, but it was very chilly. Very chilly.
The 50s. And that sounds like, from what I understand, the water temp is in the 50s as well.
Last year, the water temp was, what else? Let me just, before we jump into the water, transition, it's a dual transition. and they have what's called a clean transition. In other words, you put all your bike stuff in a bag and you hang it on a rack with your number. So as you exit the swim, you run by this rack, grab your bag, you sit down on the bench, you change out, stuff all your stuff into the bag like a full Ironman, and then give it to a helper over the fence or barricade, and they'll transport that back to T2.
Oh, okay. So
it's like an Ironman, but you got to take care of it yourself. I don't recall somebody helping me at all.
Okay. So you just can't throw your shit anywhere.
Right. And did they have wetsuit strippers? I do believe they had wetsuit strippers back then.
Okay.
Let's go back to the swim, though. The swim temp, I looked at my Garmin last year. It registered 55 degrees.
Wow.
It's pretty cold. It's probably the coldest swim I did all year. It was colder. It was the coldest swim I've ever done. And when you first go in, I remember this vividly. The sand is very cold. Once again, I would bring some old socks or old gym shoes, wear them on until the last minute till you step into the water because the sand's going to be cold. Because it's like in the desert. Palm Springs is in the desert. And this is very close to Palm Springs.
I got you.
The minute I hit the water, my face, fingers, and feet went numb for the first 200 yards. It's like you just feel it. You're on pins and needles. You just can't feel it. And after about 200, 300 yards, you just get used to it and it's all good until you get out. And when you get out, your hands are like frozen. You can't like unzip or anything. You can't grab anything. It's kind of like pretty chilly. I mean, it took me a while to get my stuff going again, like my fingertips feeling and stuff like that.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's not. Yeah, you don't like the cold. I know that much. Although you did come up here and cold plunge multiple times.
Not as long as you.
No, but you went in and out a lot.
Yeah, in and out a lot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You had a sauna nearby. Okay.
So there was no sauna there. Definitely, you want to bring the plastic bag, sleeves, and maybe gloves. I mean, on the bike for the first 15, 20 minutes because you're going to be chilled coming out of that water.
Okay.
A friend of mine who's a very good racer, he hypothermia and he pulled out of he had to stop. He came out and he found a police car and pulled over and says, "Can I get in there and warm up?"
Really?
And this guy's a pretty good racer. He's a 25-mile-an-hour guy, and he just too cold.
Oh, wow.
And then he just didn't do the run. He just pulled out after the run because he was in the cop car for about 30 minutes warming up.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. Yeah, you better be ready for the cold. Cold water, cold air.
Cold water. You come out. I mean, my hands were literally numb. I could not undo my finger. You can't undo anything. Like, it just numb.
How did a guy like you who doesn't like cold get through that swim?
I didn't know about it.
You didn't know until you got in it?
I didn't think it was going to be that cold. Pretty cold. Yeah. But once again, pardon?
Did it speed you up to get the hell out of there? Or?
No, but it was really clean water. It was beautiful water, mountains all around there. It's a beautiful setting. It's a gorgeous setting. I mean, you take pictures there, you'll go there and you're like, wow, this is beautiful.
Wow. Okay.
It's one of the prettiest lakes I've swam in.
All right, good. All right, so you get on the bike.
I wore a neoprene hat, and my friend who did it didn't, and he was okay with it, and I was okay. I was a little warm with the neoprene hat actually, so I may or may not do it again this year. Yeah, I didn't wear booties. Too hot, yeah. I had booties too to try out, and when I tried out the booties, it felt like there was like 2 lead weights on my feet. So if you're going to try and use booties, try it out beforehand because it's a totally different feel.
Yeah, it looks clunky.
Mm-hmm.
But, whatever it takes, I guess.
Whatever it takes.
So you want to stay warm at least for the first 10 miles or something out there on that bike.
Definitely. I'll let you go back to the swim start. I mean, some people had their wetsuits put on earlier just to keep warm. I mean, Robbie always professes to keep the wetsuit off, but here's an opportunity. Maybe you want to keep at least the bottom half on when you're walking around out there because it's pretty chilly.
Yeah, sure. It definitely keeps you warm, but that sounds like hoodie and keep it down to the waist.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Okay. And anything you said the bike is, it looks like it's a little bit.
Well, it's interesting. They have the race course in there. See that little box drawn out there? It's a subdivision that has their own racetrack.
Oh.
And it's banked turns.
Oh, very cool.
So it's kind of fun where you kind of just ride around the track. I guess this subdivision just has this for people who want to ride their cars around on the track. So that's kind of interesting part of the whole thing. And you're mostly in the valley. There's maybe 500 feet of total climb. Coming out, I believe you're a little downhill, and there's like one little hill. And then on the way back, about halfway out, it's kind of a grinder going back up. Not a grinder, but it's a slow incline, so you're going to lose a little speed on the way back. Okay. Are you on a web page here, Mike?
Yeah.
If you click on the download the PDF, you can see the actual, at the bottom of the PDF, you can pop and see the elevation. Click on where it says download now. And when the PDF opens, I don't know if you can get that or not.
Yeah, I got it. Well,
yeah, at the bottom of the PDF there, I'm not seeing it. It'll show you the elevation on the course there, and you'll see where it's just a slow, gradual upcline at the end.
Okay.
And you're riding back and forth between the mountains. There's no mountains to climb up, no hills to climb up. You're just riding back and forth in the valley. And it warms up quite well. Within 10 to 15 miles, I was taking stuff off, taking my sleeves off, taking my bag out. It was perfect.
I gotcha. Yeah, I can't quite scroll that far.
Okay.
But there we have it. Okay. So
yeah, I mean, standard aid stations, you can see them on the course. There's 3 of them, and it's out and back kind of. You go out and you see people all the time out and back. You can see it going out, leaving out, you go down, you come back up, and you go around. You can see it's out and back at the first half. And at the end, you go ahead and you wind up at the Ironman Village back at the Indian Wells Tennis Center.
I gotcha. All right. So then that ends up at the second transition area.
Right. And it's a big transition area. The second transition area is huge compared to the first. I mean, there's plenty of room on the transition. Oh, I don't know what that is. That's the map for crowd control or traffic control. I know that. There's the one right there. It's a 2-looper right there, Mike, on top. Yep. It's a 2-looper. You come out on the right, you come out on the far right side by the gray. You come running out, all pavement, flat pavement all the way around. It's about 1.25 miles. You hit the golf course, and you're running on the cart paths and up and down on the course. And there's a lot of up. It's like short and punchy. My one friend described it as punchy. It's like a lot of up and down, quick turns. You get those, you coming down a hill and you make a U-turn. You see all those U-turns you have on that course?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of you're running and you go down, you run through some rough areas. I think you have through a sand trap occasionally, but it's a much tougher run than I thought it was last year. I'm thinking PR here until I got to that run. And I'm like, oh, this is hard.
Really? All right. Yeah, I've heard
it's not flat, and it's 2 loops, and well supported, and just running through the golf course. And like I said, up and down, quick turns, a lot of U-turns.
Okay. All right. So chilly swim, relatively straightforward bike, and a tougher run.
Yes, and the roads are perfectly flat. I mean, perfectly flat.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not like Wisconsin's bumpity bump. I mean, the roads are very nice, very nice. And we flew directly into Palm Springs when we flew in. I'd recommend that. You pay an extra $50 or $100 maybe than flying into Vegas or to LA and renting a car. But we just flew directly in there.
Okay, and it sounds like a nice community.
Oh, it's a nice venue. We are staying closer to the Indian Wells because that's where everything's at. Plus, you have to load the bus there in the morning. There's no point to stay out by the lake because then you have to drive towards the lake or back to T2 to get on the bus, and then you have to drive back and forth. So I thought it was better to stay at an Airbnb closer to the start, or to the Ironman Village.
Always, right?
Mm-hmm.
Always. Well, any other final closing thoughts you have on this place?
On the course, no, it's a great venue. It's an afterwards, the awards area, restaurants. It's very strange. I mean, it's all communities, and they're all like walled, gated communities driving up and down this whole subdivision. It's all like everyone has their own community, and it's all walled off, and you have to go through a gate for the most part for like a lot of it. It's just a lot of vacation communities. I guess people from LA come out to here to vacation, and it's mostly a vacation area.
Okay.
Here's my social thing. I would say Joshua Tree National Park is right down the way. If you've never been there, it's kind of cool to go visit. We're going to do that on Friday. Me and my friend Christine, who's also being coached, she's part of C26. We're going to go do Indian Wells together, and we're going to go visit Joshua Tree on Friday. We're flying in on Thursday.
I know you like to make fun with it, out of it.
Mm-hmm. Always got to do something fun.
Yeah, you always got to do something fun. All right, well, enjoy your trip, buddy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be in about a couple of weeks, and feeling good.
All right, you're looking good.
Yes.
Okay, well,
Thanks.
hang around.
Okay, talk to you later.
Thanks.
Down.